You came across this question in your chemistry exam. How will you solve it? It is extremely very easy. Now let's solve together. The question says, which of the following is an acidic salt? It's very easy. They gave us options. First of all, we have to understand what an acidic salt is. But before we even talk about what an acidic salt is, we have to know what a salt is. This is very important. What is a salt? Listen carefully. A salt is a compound formed. A salt is a compound formed. This is the compound formed when all or parts of the replaceable hydrogen ion present in an acid is replaced by a metallic ion or an ammonium radical. This is what I mean. Listen carefully. This is an acid. Listen, oh, this is an acid. Remember, for you to be an acid, you will have hydrogen ion, which is H+. They call it replaceable hydrogen ion. Why is it called replaceable? It can be replaced with something. So it is called replaceable hydrogen ion. Remember, for you to be called an acid, specifically Arrhenius acid, you must have the H+. So what am I trying to say? A salt is a compound formed when all or parts of this H+ present in an acid is removed, is replaced by a metal or an ammonium radical. Yes, so let us say, for instance, this H+ is replaced by either a metal or an ammonium radical, which is NH4+. What do we get? We have to form a salt. It's extremely easy. This is what I mean. Let's take an example. Let's take an example. This is an acid. HCl is an acid, right? Yes, it is. Remember, HCl is made up of two ions. What are they? H+ and Cl-. And what are we replacing? We are replacing H+. So what are we replacing it with? We are replacing it with either a metal or an ammonium radical. In this context, I'll use a metal. I'll use a metal like sodium metal, Na+. Do you understand? I can use any metal, but in this context, I want to use sodium metal. So let us say, for instance, now this sodium metal now replace this H+. Then we remove the H+ and then add what? Na+. It's Na+ that should be in the position of this H+. So at the end of doing this, what do we get? That will be the question we ask ourselves. So we removed H+ and brought in Na+. So what do we get? Simple like ABCD. So when these two guys connect, what do you think you get? You simply get this NaCl. And NaCl is a salt. Do you understand? NaCl is a salt, is your normal regular salt, which is a neutral salt. Because we have different types of salt. We have neutral salt, we have double salt, we have basic salt, we have acid salt, we have complex salt. But in this question, they're asking us which of these options is an acid salt. We get there. But we have to understand the rudiments of what a salt is. So you can see how we formed salt. We said all or part of a replaceable hydrogen ion in an acid will be replaced by metal or an ammonium radical, we get a salt. Because remaining just sodium and chlorine, so they form NaCl. Do you get the point? So this must be noted. So now let us move further to what an acidic salt is. Now, what is an acidic salt? Very easy. The word acidic salt. Just slight difference between an acidic salt and a regular salt, a normal salt, a neutral salt. Okay, the definition of neutral salt is still same as the definition of a salt. Do you understand? The normal definition of salt generally is still the same definition for neutral salt. So what do we call acid salt? What are acid salt? Very easy. Acid salt, they are still compounds that are formed when parts, listen, acid salt, when parts, not all the H+ is replaced by that metal or the ammonium radical. That is for acid salt. Do you understand? Not all of the H+ should be replaced. If all the H plus is replaced, then we'll get a neutral salt in this context. Is it not all the H plus present in HCl that was replaced? Because just have just one H, so we have to remove just one of that H. But now, for acid salt, it is not all of the H plus that should be replaced. It is part of it. So on this, you have to note something. So let's take an example so we'll see what I'm talking about. So I'll use an acid which is H2SO4. This is an acid. Do you get? Now moving further, based on this question, just watch. How many ions are we having here? Simple, like ABCD. How many ions are we having here? We're having H plus and SO4 2 minus. Yes. H plus, the hydrogen part, and the SO4 2 minus, that's the radical part, okay? So, but specifically, how many hydrogen do we have here? 2. So it should be 2H plus. But now, in summary, how many H plus do we now have in this compound? We have 2 of them, H plus and what? H plus. But what did I tell you about acid salt? Is it all of the H plus that is being replaced? No, it is not all. It is part of it. Just one. Just one, you remove one of it. So when we do that, we'll get an acid salt. So listen carefully. So let's still replace it with sodium metal. So let us say, for instance, we remove this guy and replace it with what? Sodium. Sodium entered. Na plus. Sodium now enters. What do you think we'll get? Very easy. So this part that was 2H plus before will then change to something like, listen, Na and H. Yes, that's what it will change to, because sodium has added to the other hydrogen present. That's why I add what? NaH. But you can see the other part of the compound still here, which is still SO4. So basically, in summary, the compound we are to get here, it should be NaH. What's the other part? SO4. NaHSO4. This is the acid salt formed. So please look at the options and tell me the answer to this question. The answer to this question is option A. So here is a trick to get questions under this aspect. It's extremely very easy. Please listen carefully. To know a compound that is an acidic salt, there will be presence of hydrogen in that compound. And that hydrogen is written after a metal was written or an ammonium radical was written. So when they write a metal, either sodium, potassium, any metal, the next element you saw there was hydrogen. Know that particular compound should be the acid salt. That is a trick to actually know acid salt, but it's best to understand the concept about acid salt. So there is something you must know. Now here is a question I want to ask you all. Please listen carefully. Remember, from introductory chemistry, introductory acid, base and salt, you have to know that we have what we call basicity of an acid. Okay, an acid can be monobasic, dibasic, or tribasic. Monobasic meaning that particular acid have just one H plus. Just one. How many H plus? One H plus. If the acid is dibasic, it should have how many H plus? 2H plus. If it is tribasic, it should have how many H plus? 3H plus. So can you tell me something? Do you think acidic salt can be formed from monobasic acids? No, it can never. Because for an acid salt to be formed, we need at least a dibasic acid as H2SO4, because it has 2H plus. Do you understand? Because we said that if you are monobasic, all the H plus should be replaced. And what type of salt are we going to get there? Neutral salt, not an acid salt, because there is no other hydrogen to remain in the compound. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. So that's the point. So you have to understand one property of acid salt, that they are formed from dibasic or either tribasic acids. So we've come to the end of this video lesson. If you find my video lesson helpful, make sure you click on the subscribe buttons to my channel and also share these lessons with your friends. Thanks for watching. To have more understanding about chemistry calculations and solving all of these type of questions, I already have them on the chemistry masterpiece, okay, which is calculations and keynotes in chemistry. So if you are preparing to write the JAM exam, this book is very, very important for you. Now, for more information getting the chemistry masterpiece, do well to direct message me via my WhatsApp number. It will be on the screen.